Here we have two transformable Wolverine figures. This one is a piece of garbage, it's terrible, belongs in the trash. And this one is pretty good, I was surprised by it. So one of these is actually a transformer.
Let me know in the comments if you can guess which one it is. It's this one, it's this one. The other one is a piece of garbage.
One figure is a more traditional Transformers design. The other is meant to be more of a mech design. You can see some Gundam influence on it.
One of these figures will survive this video, and the other one will get this very rusty hammer. Oh god. So if this is a Transformer, you might be wondering what the hell this is. Well, this is a Marvel Megamorph made by Toy Biz.
Now the history here is kind of interesting.
First, we gotta travel in our time machine to go all the way to the ancient days, back in the 90s.
Toy Biz gained the right to make Marvel toys back in 1993. They also made some DC toys. Toy Biz partially owned Marvel back in the day, and when Marvel went bankrupt, it merged with Toy Biz to get it out of bankruptcy in 1998. And Toy Biz continued to make Marvel figures with Marvel as its parent company. These Megamorph figures came out in 2005 with various superheroes, and there was even a tie-in comic which I remember reading at one point. In 2006, Marvel gave Hasbro the right to make toys, and Toy Biz struggled without being able to make Marvel toys. Its own parent company kinda killed it.
It's dead.
In 2008, Hasbro came out with Transformers crossovers, which included Marvel characters. This Wolverine had two more redecos, however I like the classic blue and yellow version. It's a really solid figure. Sometimes these crossovers are garbage. That's been my experience with these Star Wars ones at least.
You disgust me.
But this one is shockingly good. Both the robot modes and vehicle modes are great, and I like how the blue and yellow work well in both modes as well. It has an actual transformation, unlike the Megamorph, which kind of just folds in on itself. I'll talk more about that later. I am so impressed with this figure. Not so much with the Megamorph. This thing is bad. This is meant to be a mech for Wolverine to pilot. If we open this up,
Go fuck yourself.
it even comes with a little Wolverine figure, and the arm keeps popping off for him. The Transformers one is also actually technically a mech. The design of this Megamorph isn't too bad, except for maybe the head. What the fuck is that? The Hasbro one actually has a good head sculpt, but it is also supposed to be a representation of Wolverine and not a pilotable mech. However, I will say the Megamorph is definitely more recognizable as Wolverine. If I blocked out the heads for both of these figures, you can see the Megamorph has more of a Wolverine aesthetic to it. Let me know if you agree in the comments. This also has a jet mode, but it looks bad and the transformation is bad. I also can't fully transform it 100% properly because I am supposed to pull out the waist over here. However, it is really stuck in there and I don't want to break it, at least not until after I make this review. I am missing a cannon for this guy. He comes with this accessory at the back, and this thing over here is supposed to plug into that cannon, and I think you're supposed to push this in and it's supposed to like fire missile pieces out. Getting this new would have cost around $70. I don't want to spend that much money on a piece of garbage, and it actually does work with the claws. If you push this in, the claws come out, which is pretty neat. Now this Megamorph goes for a yellow plastic with a light blue paint, while the Transformer goes for a blue and yellow plastic with yellow paint. Plastic quality wise, the Megamorph definitely feels a lot cheaper. By the way, if you want to support me and see more videos of interesting figures, check out my Patreon, which is only $1 a month. Now these figures are only 2 years apart, and it's really crazy how two different companies approach the concept of a transformable Wolverine figure. There's definitely a massive engineering difference between the two, and you'll see that especially when I show off the transformations for both of them later in the video. The Hasbro one is definitely a lot better, but they do have a lot more experience with transforming figures. Alright, now let's get into a full breakdown of the Transformers figure.
Will it survive the hammer?
So I personally think he has a great head sculpt. Definitely looks like Wolverine while also having a robotic look to it. The Star Wars Transformers figures also tried to do that with head sculpts that resembled their movie counterparts, and it made for some horrifying results. This does none of that. It works very well, surprisingly. I love the way the mask is done as well as the teeth. We do have some black paint for the mask, and I like how the teeth kind of give him this angry look, which is fitting for the character. Now we have these circles here at the front and the back. I wasn't really sure what they're supposed to be for, but since these figures are technically supposed to be mechs, maybe that's supposed to be the front and back camera, kind of like how a Gundam has. Now there's not a whole lot of detail on this figure, so I'll try to go over what I can. We do have a little bit of like panel working over here and over here at the back. I don't really like this yellow flap though, because it does feel a little bit distracting. I do like how the shoulder pieces are the front of the vehicle mode, and they kind of act like shoulder pads, just like how Wolverine has them. There is a lot of yellow paint on this guy, which might cause some issues in the future, but it's been about 14 years and this is mostly fine. There is a little bit of paint chipping over there. Now the front of the vehicle mode is the chest piece, and we have this front bumper piece, and we have some rugged tires over here. These do pull out and come down for the vehicle mode because he does transform into a sort of off-road all-terrain style vehicle, which does seem fitting for the character. On the back, the top of the vehicle mode is tucked away over here, and it does come with these 2 spare wheels. These can be removed and they are purely for aesthetic reasons. I would have preferred if this figure came with maybe a gun accessory rather than some spare tires. So on the arms, we do have a lot of kibble going on. This piece over here folds in to help make the arms a little bit cleaner, but the rest of the arms do have a lot of kibble, and you can tell this turns into the doors and side of the vehicle mode. Just like the Megamorph, this one also has a claw gimmick. If you press this button, the claws pop out, and this claw is just one individual plastic piece rather than being individual, maybe for safety reasons or just so they don't break as easily. For the hands, they're just robotic hands in a fist, and there's no 5mm port, so you can't really hold any accessories, so I guess even if he did come with a gun, it would have been kind of useless. Now the Megamorph figure has some pretty impressive hands, which I want to talk more about later once we get to that figure. On its crotch area, we do have the X-Men logo, which is really nice. The rest of this crotch area has a little bit of detail, and we do have some blue paint to represent those briefs on the outside look that a lot of superheroes had. The legs are yellow, which is similar to his costume, and there's a little bit of detail on it just to make it not look as plain. He does have some movable knee pads, which is nice. Now the legs, I personally think, have a few issues. So this front bit over here does have a lot of nice detail, but I do find the legs to be just a little bit bulky. The wheels fold into the back over here. These will run into each other on the legs now, which is a little bit annoying when you're trying to pose the figure. You could keep them out to the side like that, and I think I kind of prefer them to be like that. We do also have some nice detail over here, which is great. Also, these heels need to stick out because if they're flat, the figure is gonna fall over. Now for the articulation, his head can only move left and right, and it is a little bit limited due to its design. Unfortunately, it cannot look up and down. These shoulder pads can move. The arms are on a hinge joint, so we get a butterfly joint. We can spin these a full 360. These are on a ball joint. We do get bicep rotation. We get a double hinge for the elbow bend, so that is really nice. Unfortunately, there's no hand movement because of the claws, and these arms can kind of pop out. We do have some waist rotation, which is really nice, and also utilized in the transformation. The legs over here are on ratchet joints, and we can bring them out to the side. We can also bring these forward, give them a knee bend, but this wheel gets in the way. If we move that, we get a little bit more of a knee bend. Legs can move back over there only, some leg rotation as well. Feet can move back and forth, as well as these heel bits.
Here are a few size comparisons. For a 2008 Deluxe class figure, he has a pretty good size to him.
So far, this is shaping up to be a pretty impressive figure.
As of now, I would say it is spared from the hammer.
We will get to that transformation and vehicle mode, but now let's move on to the Megamorph figure. Here is the Megamorph figure, and I have taken this piece off because it is kind of getting in the way. Now with this Megamorph figure, I will say the design of the body isn't that bad, and as stated earlier, it does look a lot more like Wolverine than the Transformers figure. Now this figure is supposed to be a mech, which is why the head looks like this.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
It looks bad, and the paint job on this copy of the figure is sloppy. And they try to incorporate the look of the mask, but it just looks kind of like giant Pokemon ears, and it's 3 colors too many. It looks better in the comic tie-in for the figure. The yellow paint over here doesn't really match the rest of the figure. There's 3 different colors of yellow on this figure, making it look kind of tacky. However, I feel like my camera doesn't really show off the 3 different yellows, but trust me, it is there. This head is also on this hinge over here for the transformation, and I feel like that looks kind of bad. Now, part of the arms are nicely done. I am impressed with this and how it has that mechanical look to it. These missiles on the side face the front in the jet mode, but having them on the side in the robot mode really doesn't make sense, especially when you have this piece in the way. What is really funny though is how we have some mechanical biceps for him.
I think the hands here do a better job of representing his gloves than the Transformers figure.
And I do like the blue this figure has. Now what's really cool are the fingers. They are sculpted incredibly well and have some nice detail on them. And each finger has individual articulation, and I do find that to be really impressive, and he can now give the finger. These pieces attached to the arm are kind of bulky though, and a little bit loose. This looks like fish fins and kind of awkwardly placed. These do have some kind of articulation for them. Once again, the claws are retractable, and you don't need this piece to get them out. Ow, that fell on my foot. We can slide this forward to get the claws out. And this one has those individual claws rather than the combined claws. Now, on his chest, these side fins for the jet mode are horrid. The yellow color doesn't match, and it is kind of hard to show that on camera. They also get in the way of the arm movement, which is kind of mind-boggling. It blows my mind how bad the placement and design of this is. It is made of a flexible material, so it doesn't break as easily when you do that. Same with this one over here. It's just so jarring to have it block the arms. The chest piece is pretty loose, honestly, so that is really annoying. We do have the cockpit over here, and I do like how we can open this up and store the little Wolverine figure in here. Inside, though, not really any sort of detail to talk about. The legs are yellow with silver and blue paint. The paint on the knee pads has not held up over the years. The bottom of the legs do look pretty good. I will give it that. I like the way these are designed all the way to the back. It's just a silver, blue, and black color. Do like how we have some thrusters at the bottom, which kind of resemble, and the chest is loose again. I do like how there's these little pointy things here, just like how his boots are on the actual costume. Back of the figure, it's pretty basic. Here's a quick look at that accessory he comes with. Nothing too impressive. Here is a look at the Wolverine figure, and as you can see, the arm has popped off. The arm on this just doesn't stay on. He looks absolutely hideous. That is horrifying.
His entire body looks horribly disfigured.
Paint job on here is sloppy. This is a really small figure, so it's not gonna look great. But yeah, it's there's his arm. I do like how we do have some muscle detail on here,
And we do have the claws out, and he's kind of thick. And with this back piece, it is supposed to plug into the mech. This figure is pretty large. Here are a few size comparisons.
so for this figure's articulation, since this is on a hinge joint, the head can move up and down.
The sides kind of limit the head movement, but you can get it done.
Arms can move out to the side, and they are on a ratchet joint, which is very nice. We can spin them a full 360 despite this being in the way. Bicep rotation. I already talked about the fingers. Hands can move in and out. Legs can be brought forward, and they are on ratchet joints. Out to the side, move back there. Waist rotation. Double hinge joint for the knees. Feet can move around as well.
Honestly, this figure isn't really too great. Now let's transform the Wolverine figure. First, we're going to flip these panels out on the side, pull the arms out, same over here.
We're going to come down to the feet, and we're going to flip these in, straighten out these back pieces over there, take this wheel and bring that out. Same with this wheel, bring that out. Open this, take the head and push that in.
For the reverse transformation, use this tab to bring the head back out.
Close that up. We can take the arms,
Make sure the claws are in, and bend the arms all the way around. This panel needs to come down and connect these pieces together.
same over here, just bring that around and bring this down. That does happen. That's okay. Maybe this does deserve the hammer. Bring that there. Take this back, open that up. We're going to undo both of these flaps, rotate the legs 180, detach that.
Rotate just this section around, tabbing it into this section of the figure.
Take the legs and rotate them this way, rotate that.
Connect the legs together, make sure these feet are down, rotate this around, and it is supposed to tap into here, but it's kind of a pain, so I just don't bother with it. Bring the door in, connecting it to the rest of the figure, lining it up.
Do the same over here, lining all that up. Bring these panels down on the side. Adjust everything to where it's in its proper place. So now for the wheels, we're going to pop these out on both sides and slide them down.
Bring these down.
Take this front bumper piece and tab it into there. And here is the vehicle mode for Wolverine. And this is a really impressive vehicle mode. The wheels are not pinned on, they're on this peg, but it does roll better than a lot of modern day figures. This is just such a fantastic vehicle mode. The blue and yellows are done really well. You can see some like paint matching issues going on here. And then once again, this is just kind of pointless in my opinion. Like this is really hard to just like get to fit in both of these tabs. So it's not really worth doing. There is a little bit of detail on here, which is really nice. Like this bit for the windows, all this over here, some bits for like the suspension areas. That's also really nice. From the back, kind of falls apart there, but we can kind of bring his feet out to cover it up. From underneath, compacts in pretty well. The lights up here at the front are all painted, a little bit of yellow over here. On the back, we have red taillights, which is really impressive. The silver paint on the wheels is also really nice. I love the way that these spin.
A few issues I have is mainly getting these side pieces to line up perfectly. I don't care enough to fix that.
And this vehicle mode still really gives off that Wolverine vibe, which is really nice. For 2008, the level of complexity this transformation has is pretty impressive. And the size of this is also just fantastic.
Here he's next to a War for Cybertron Optimus Prime, who is a leader class.
Now let's move on to the transformation and vehicle mode for the Megamorph, which is, it's not good. Now, since I did buy this used, this did not come with any instructions, and there's not really a whole lot of information online about this figure.
Because no one really cares about this figure.
I will try to transform him from what I saw online, and it's fairly simple. We need to rotate these arms so that these missiles come to the front over here. Bring these arms out to the side.
Same with this arm over here. This head should move back. Bring the chest up and the body back. So this part is supposed to slide out, but it's stuck, so I'm just gonna move on because I don't want to break the figure.
Well, at least not yet.
Rotate the leg around and then bend in the knees over like that. Split the feet open for the thrusters. I do think these wings are supposed to go underneath here actually. And here is the horrible jet mode for the Megamorph's Wolverine. I would like to shoot it with a gun.
I've looked at other pictures online. This is kind of how it is supposed to be transformed.
It's a really poor excuse for a jet. The thing just folds in on itself, it's not really a transformation. The figure is entirely kibbled, the head is sticking out. I like how Wolverine can fit in here though.
Chest area is still pretty loose. Nothing absolutely impressive about this. This sucks. Deserves the hammer. There we go. I'm not actually going to break this thing.
Now check out this video over here, and a big thank you to all my patrons who support me on Patreon.